I am standing on the side of the West today. I am in the fullness of the violet flame with holy amethyst, and we come bearing the banner of the sacred name, Sanat Kumara. Lo, I am in the midst of light bearers. Lo, I unleash and I unfurl the light of the 7 archangels, as Lord Michael has given unto me, now to hurl the sphere of light for the inauguration of this year, infilled, infired, God-inspired with victory's flame. Children of the sun, welcome unto freedom's flame. We are determined, all of the hosts of the Lord with me, to so saturate America that a new meaning of freedom, of light, of God consciousness, individuality becomes a mode of self-expression, thereby elevating this people into that point of self-awareness as the race of I am that I am. Freedom's flame, when first descending, tends to make people, you might say, happy-go-lucky. Dear hearts, freedom sudden upon a people often manifests as irresponsible activity, as those indulgences and departures from the norms come in the life of children who are maturing, who are going off to boarding school or to college, and suddenly they find themselves without the direct eye of their parents. And then a surge of freedom causes to take place cycles of experimentation with freedom itself. And there is the groping of the child becoming the adult. Where are the boundaries? Where are the edges of my self-expression? Therefore, a most necessary trial and sometimes error at integration with civilization and life on planet Earth takes place. Fortunate are those who have an understanding of the path and the teaching before they must launch out from their home star into other worlds. Fortunate are those who heed the word of the Manus, the great Manus who are the sponsors of the root races, and who therefore go prepared into a dark and dying world and understand the nature, the lethal nature of decay and its elements of disease, which can reach epidemic proportions. Realize then that when you come in the mode of deliverer of my people, it is not wise to enter into the very mire into which they have fallen, thinking that somehow you can experiment, you can enter into periods of dalliance and self-indulgence, and all of a sudden spring back to the native light whence you have descended. Many of you have so thought tens of thousands of years ago. And therefore that thought and that decision has brought to you your present condition. Behold then where that thought has brought you in this hour, and realize that the deceleration of a spiral takes but a turning of the lever of the mind, and you can lose your hold on that coiled spring and watch it as it is no longer coiled, and therefore no longer contains the power, the energy for the thrust. Here then is a new freedom. Freedom to elemental life, bringing a capricious attitude, a playful spirit that sometimes becomes too playful, and then there is someone that gets hurt, like little collie dogs that frolic and play. Dear hearts, elemental life are also like children. With each increase of the violet flame that we have announced over the decades, we have called the student body to stand in a position of holding the balance and understanding the meaning of the full responsibility of freedom. Freedom is lost because it was once misused irresponsibly. In order to have and to retain freedom, there is a necessary discipline for the control of immense sacred fires and the flow of light and energy. Freedom in the ultimate sense means access to the reservoirs of light, the mind of God. In the fullness of God, freedom, beloved hearts, no thing in cosmos or in God is withheld from you. The reduction of the crystal cord, the reducing of energy available to the people, all goes back to the science of the seventh ray and its misuse. Ultimately, the creative science of alchemy, this ray of God's light, this momentum is for the sealing of every creation. And without the sealing of the seventh ray, that creation cannot endure. Therefore, following the footsteps of Elohim, you must recognize that without the seventh day of the Sabbath, of the rest, that is, of the fire enfolding itself and being anchored at the point of the heart, no crystallization of worlds can endure. Therefore, behold the creations of men. They endure for a day or for a century, but there is always the factor of disintegration because they have not had the wherewithal of the sacred alchemist, of beloved Saint Germain, to infuse that which is built with the hands with a light that will endow it with a permanence, even with immortality. Understand what I am saying. The gift of the sacred fire from the altar of our retreat, from the holy order of Lord Zadkiel, is that gift whereby the works of your hands as the works of God are made permanent. Understand then somewhat the nature of the discipline that must come to those who aspire to be scientists of the Spirit, instruments of the entire ritual drama of the creation itself. When you think of the havoc that would ensue if every whim or fancy of creation of anyone would be allowed to endure, you begin to realize, perhaps, the price to be paid by those chelas who desire to become initiates and adepts of the seventh ray. It is the ray of the order of Melchizedek, and that which appears as a simple manifestation of cosmic law through the seventh ray masters requires the utmost devotion of mind and heart. I commend students who are pursuing the path of physical sciences, the mastery of the world's technology, the engineering of those great buildings and bridges, and every form and manifestation that is necessary to the sustainment of this culture of the mother. For these are the paths of the lowlands that lead to the summit of the divine alchemy of the Spirit. Happy are ye when the foundation of the world's knowledge of science precedes your entering into Saint Germain's retreat, the cave of symbols, where science and invention and technology of the new age is presented to those who have the outer development to be able to receive these inventions, these inspirations, and to bring them into manifestation. Now, beloved hearts, in the past century, there have been a number of souls with the basic background in material knowledge who have been taken into the inner retreats, who have been given the understanding of inventions and of science that would enable them to lay upon the altar of humanity a great gift for the relieving of drudgery. All of the problems of energy have already been solved by the priests of the order of Melchizedek, by the order of Zadkiel, by the servants of Saint Germain. Some of these have been given, and some of you have heard of Nikola Tesla and others who have had in their very physical hands those scientific inventions which would have revolutionized the world and truly were intended to pave the way for the laying of the foundation of the oncoming golden age. Blessed hearts, a golden age must happen on each of the seven rays, each of the avenues of soul development, the golden age consciousness of Gautama Buddha and of the cosmic Christ and of the Bodhisattvas and all anointed ones of God must infuse every area of culture with the expanded spherical consciousness of God. We have come for the release of certain momentums of light preceding and preordaining the great golden age that is to come. Blessed hearts, this is a great moment, and this is why the class of the archangels was convoked, that we might release through the etheric plane into the etheric bodies of our students certain grids and force fields and momentums of light that will be the foundation of the golden age, if there is a responsive chord from myriad hearts and more among the people come into the use of the science of the spoken word. This pre-dawn light is that which is a promise. It is a rainbow of 100,000 years ago that comes now to that point of precipitation, and therefore with expectancy go before the people of this planet and wait upon with tender vigil the oncoming light of a golden age, truly descending out of the heart of Helios and Vesta. For the divine plan of a golden age upon earth does come forth out of the great central sun, out of Helios and Vesta, and this is a moment and a cosmic hour of cycles turning, when this light, even as a filigree veil, as a net of cosmos, can unveil inner blueprint and light. Blessed hearts, now understand that in each of the avenues of the precipitation of the rainbow of the archangel's causal bodies, there must be a balance of receptive hearts. The 7 rays must be represented that a golden age culture might manifest. Thus we look to the community of the Holy Spirit and to that inner retreat as the place for the development of these faint gleams of the morning light, the development of the golden age consciousness in our chelas, by the magnet of the heart, by the magnet of the sun, by initiation on the path of the 7th ray. You can forge and win an intensification of light on each of the 7 rays. Understand then that in order for a golden age to appear, we together, ascended masters and archangels Elohim and unascended chelas, must transcend the old order marked by decay, disintegration, dissolution spirals. We must overcome and transcend by that golden ratio spiral, ascending and descending, the entire momentum of the Kali Yuga, so that out of the dark cycle of this age there might rise a pinpoint of light, my beloved. And at that point of light, as seed of cosmic Christ, the cosmic mother spins and weaves a garment, and lo, a star is born, and the star is you. The star is a world transcending its former state, and it is a world passing through the quaking and the quivering of putting off that cycle of degeneration and death, even as the passing of the serpent out of its skin unto the higher point. And the point is always the all-seeing eye of God. Therefore understand that the cycles of civilizations rising and falling, the processioning of these orders and their inherent elements of decay, has been because of the absence of true devotees of the violet flame within those cultures and within those civilizations. Therefore, time and time again, the brothers and sisters of our retreat have gone forth to establish in the cities of the world veritable retreats such as you are attempting to establish through your teaching centers. Take the Master of Paris and that retreat in the very heart of the city. It has always been for the single-eyed purpose of keeping the flame of the 7th ray and thereby using it with Christ's discrimination to aid the blessed servants of God in embodiment who do endeavor to bring about world good, to infuse then their work, the work of their hands, or their inventions, or their art, or their pure love for humanity, with a portion of that permanence that comes out of the cycles of the violet flame. Thus, beloved hearts, the Master of Paris himself looks to the community teaching centers of the Church Universal and Triumphant as a place where he may pinpoint the focal point of light, the focal point of the causal body of Saint Germain. Our heart's determination to retain these centers in the cities has never been greater, even as we pursue with gusto the light of the inner retreat, For one is for the preserving of that which is good and ought to endure out of the old order, as the phoenix bird rising, as the cosmic Christ appearing, as the avatar of your heart, gaining dimension, gaining now a new identification. Understand then that that point of the crystallization of the God flame from all preceding orders must indeed be the point of the image of Christ in every city, whereby elemental life and those working at inner levels for the giving birth of the children might reinforce in every womb, in every fetus, in every embryo, that image of the cosmic Christ. Thus we march in the cities and on the cities of the world. Thus the formation of our angels is positioned over the inner retreat, that there might be the golden age descent of the etheric pattern of the New Jerusalem, which is a name for the foundation of peace as a vortex of light in the very heart of the new order of the ages. Thus we choose virgin territory, and that which is in the heart of the mountain as the heart of the sacred fire, in the heart of the rock of Christ, that is indeed the heart of the avatar. Thus we choose the higher altitudes, where the earth might rise and the people rise to meet their God and to meet descending spirals of angels, and that holy city that John saw descending out of heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. Thus the role of the divine man-child, thus the role of the fusion of the masculine element of the Godhead with the Shakti. Thus there is a reversal of roles, and the descent of the city is the coming down to earth of the mother flame, even as the Holy Spirit sends up the sign and the signal that God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is indeed ensconced in the threefold flame of the hearts of this people. Let the great white brotherhood, in embodiment as our chelas, pull down the mighty cities of light, the etheric cities. Let them begin with that golden age, point of light, as the inner retreat of souls into the fire enfolding itself. Let all hearts become one great heart, one great funnel of light, and out of that heart let one community of the Holy Spirit be the sign and the signal of the leaping of the ark. City by city, nation by nation, so that the new age may appear, one by one, here and there, where hearts are raised in holy prayer. Oh, I am Zadkiel, and I possess in my heart the secrets of alchemy, the secrets that can intensify and increase the golden age consciousness within you. I desire you to invoke it. This is my message from all of the 7 archangels who have communed with the 7 holy Kumaras, who have communed with the Manus, who see the design that must be lowered as archetype of Holy Child, as blueprint for community, as the bowl in matter for descending starlight. Blessed hearts, therefore, those souls that have come with invention as innovators, who have not completed their work for want of the sacred alchemy of the 7th ray, now have the opportunity to return into embodiment, having spent some hours and years in the cave of symbols and in our retreat. Thus, you can anticipate the welcoming of souls who will know how to endow that which they have to give on the seven rays with a nature of permanence preceding that hour of the full-orbed noonday of the golden ages to come, wherein all of the works of the hands of the children of the light and the sons of God, fashioned out of the mind of the cosmic Christ, will bear the nature of permanence, even as they pass through the nexus of the heart chakra and by the science of the spoken word are sealed in the name of Alpha and Omega. I give to you this key, that without the name, the light, or the sign of Alpha and Omega, there is not the enduring word manifest. Thus he brought forth out of the light the loaves and the fishes by the sign of the cosmic cross of white fire, by the sign of Alpha and Omega. Happy are ye who seize the key and run with it. Some of you are among those who have seen your most noble efforts crumble. How well we all remember the crumbling of Camelot. How we remember when the first stone of Glastonbury Cathedral was removed by those fallen ones, signaling then that determination of the watchers to destroy that focus of the Divine Mother for the souls of Joseph, even the descent of Ephraim and Manasseh. How we watched, how we stood, while the spoilers came in and took those stones to build their buildings and to pave their roads, and there was no longer the complete physical focus of that cathedral. Some of you were there for the building of that cathedral. Some of you carefully prepared those stones and put them in place, building after the design that was brought forth out of the heart of holy angels as the etheric blueprint of that which became a magnificent cathedral of light. Blessed hearts, there are monuments that still stand as a reminder of the work of your heart, your hand, and the mind of God. These cathedrals of Europe, built by those who were of the guilds, holy orders of devotees, who infused each stone with the light of the seventh ray ritual, they stand and still stand because their architecture came forth out of the retreat of Serapis Bay and other retreats of the archangels, because they are a precipitation in matter of that which exists in spirit, and therefore there is a divine polarity and an oscillation of light, and therefore there is a figure-eight flow, and therefore above the altar of these cathedrals of Europe, suspended twixt the base and the highest point of physical manifestation, there is a flame, and that flame is a duplicate of the flame of the etheric octave, and there is a congruency as well as the figure 8 manifestation, and thus the prayers of the righteous and of the devotees rise and merge with a flowing fire, even as this fire is tended by angelic bands, and therefore the sustainment even of physical buildings, even their protection in time of war. And those that were protected by a light and a sealing action. And those that crumbled because of certain karmic conditions or an absence of true fervor and fire in the hearts of the people themselves. Realize then that that which has endured upon earth, such as the Great Pyramid, has endured because some soul of light was present in the building, not only for the focus of the flame of the seventh ray, but also for the focusing of the divine geometry that itself is the outpicturing of the flame, for the true divine geometry of the divine architect himself is designed to contain an interchange of energy and a flow by the angles, by the symmetry, by the arrangement of space and time, in order to capture the light of God that endows the entire physical universe with a semblance of permanence, or with a duration that may be calculated. Precious hearts, the adepts who are determined to sustain a physical focus for 50,000 years know exactly the architecture, the angles, and the nature of sacred fire that they must place within that force field. And I tell you, 50,000 years hence to the second, it will enter a disintegration spiral, and in many cases there will be an instantaneous collapse of that matter force field. This is the nature of the mastery of the seventh ray, which endows you with the freedom to create on all of the other rays. Returning then to the first point of my discourse to you, we have come for a release of a new freedom. It is always an experiment, for what men will do with free will may not be entirely predetermined. We place our bet on the students of the light, for they are more predictable than those who are entirely enslaved by the human consciousness. Therefore, the grant of light comes by the measuring of the blades of grass. Blades of grass are ye each one. Is it humbling to be compared to a single blade of grass? Think upon it and the cosmos all inside. Think upon the central line. Think upon the descent of sacred fire. Thus, we measure the blades of grass and what is contained inside as the magnet of identity. Portion for portion is this new wave of freedom meted out according to what you are, keepers of the flame throughout the world, devotees of the violet flame. You have been measured, and whatever has been found within you of momentum in all previous incarnations and of externalization in the blade of grass, this has become the measured portion, whereby measure for measure in equal portion a new momentum of violet flame could be lowered. Thus the portion that we bring is a sphere of violet fire placed over every devotee who invokes the violet flame, who is becoming the seventh ray. Now in your increasing devotions and calls to me and Saint Germain and our hierarchy and our priesthood of adepts, you will be creating a whirling violet fire vortex in your heart, and according to the magnetism of it, according to the will of it, according to the desire and to the love, you will accelerate the movement of energy over the figure-8 flow, and you will draw down this portion, and therefore you can bring all of it that is yours into your own heart, to expand your heart, to expand your threefold flame, to expand your ability to transmit joy to the world and the message of the birth of Messiah where you are. This new wave of freedom then will have the control factor of your own identity and your own application. It is a splendid mystery, for if you do not pull it down, it will not become a part of the mainstream of life on earth. If you pull it down and then leave off from your application, this energy by frequency will return to its source. Thus in every hour and day and week and month ahead, your application, your interaction with a dispensation by free will determine the expansion or the contraction of freedom upon earth moment by moment. Thus you will experience what it means to be a God-free being, to be a God, in the sense of having the opportunity to determine the fate and course of other lives and nations and this civilization. You will understand the exercise of free will, interacting with a portion of energy bequeathed to you because of your input already given. It represents your earning, lawfully yours. Therefore you have some sense of its worth, for you have put in the time and energy and devotion over many, many embodiments. You need not enter into vibrations now of self-criticism that you have not invoked the violet flame enough. This portion represents the cumulative mastery on the seventh ray, and there are other gains of mastery in addition to the invocation of the flame. But I tell you, beloved hearts, any number of you have locked in your causal bodies of light bands of violet flame in varying hue and shade, which you have not drawn down simply because the lever of your devotion to the violet flame has not contained the will that would send a pulsation of white hot heat to melt and draw forth previous momentums of service on the seventh ray, when you moved in ages and had for your teachers those who were allowed to come into the outer world to train you in these very sciences of which I am speaking. These eras have passed, and you have lived in other centuries where there is nary a one individual whom you contacted in all of your life that could put you in contact with your own causal body and your own inner life of the seventh ray consciousness. Value then the Guru, value the messenger, and realize that that is the point whereby the Great White Brotherhood enables you to contact more of your own God reality. And I tell you, because you need to know it, that this dispensation of the violet flame could not have been given without the presence of the messenger, or the recent dispensation conferred by Saint Germain, indeed, of the 100% balancing of the karma. It was most necessary for the acceleration of your own path. And I tell you, the 7 archangels have determined to make the most of this opportunity, and I trust you will also, for in it lies the open door to your own unity with God. Portals are opening, all of them the gift of opportunity. We are stepping through the portal of opportunity this hour to be present with you. And we come with this sublime announcement so that you might now, for the remainder of this conference, keep a violet flame session rolling and roaring in this sanctuary, tagging therefore and never letting down upon it. So this momentum for the conclusion of this year may be for the burning up of some of those scrolls of records of humanity's misuse of the sacred fire, that therefore with the turning of the page of the book of life and the writing of the events of this year, there might be not so much karma to go down in the planetary history, and a portion of that dark cycle might also be alleviated to give a new hope and a new thrust for the coming year and the ongoing cycles of the decade. Let the violet flame ring from your hearts for manifold purpose, for precipitation of the inner retreat, for the reaching out to hearts who must be pulled in by the rope of sacred fire from your own heart. You are the anchor to pull these souls of light into the divine plan of the activity that we are engaged in, to pull them in to this community of light and into the knowledge of their own I am presence and the application of the science of the Word. Thus the violet flame will go forth in spherical, canonical momentum. It will reach out. It will be the hurling of bands of golden age spirals, golden ratio spirals. It will be the contact of far-off worlds and the nourishing of the earth body itself with nutrients of starlight that must pass through it, also for the purpose at inner levels of the preparation of the physical body of earth itself for the new age consciousness. O starlight of Sirius, I place my heart over the heart of the messenger for the passing through of those wavelengths that have not descended in thousands of years. I direct currents of Sirius from this heart to your heart, to hearts that can receive it throughout earth, because the lever of their devotion is such that they can contain these wavelengths of Sirius. O violet flame, seal the wavelengths, let them prepare the way. Let them prepare the way. Let the violet flames prepare the way in consciousness for the receiving of these elements, nutrients of light from starry bodies. O violet flame, wrap the new age consciousness in thy light. Elohim of the violet flame, seal, O seal, that which is descending from on high as the new freedom, in a momentum then that will transmute much of that which is the antithesis of the oncoming light. we lead with the violet flame. Archangel Michael, that prince of the archangels, whom we adore, has sent me for the leading of the Golden Age consciousness, even as I come in the name of its hierarch, Saint Germain. Leading with a violet flame is like moving with a giant roll of the wave, clearing all in its path, transmuting by the sacred fire, so that when the Golden Age is unfolded and the divine plan appears, there is a neutralization of the antibodies positioned and waiting as the intent of the destroyers to destroy the divine alchemy. O alchemy, how wondrous thou art! O great divine director, run now with legions of light, with the little book. Saint Germain, we hold up this, now as it passes into the consciousness of the people of a planet who are Spanish-speaking. Imagine, O hearts of light, how the expansion of the message will increase true God freedom. See how through this translation, carefully wrought by devotees' hands, there is also the opportunity to multiply and multiply again this dispensation of the violet flame. O avant-garde of light, you who hear me now, who are Spanish-speaking in your descent, you are the very first ones to receive these leaves of the tree of life of Saint Germain. Receive the momentum of the great divine director. Run with it, for there upon that continent where there is to appear a seventh root race, there must come the laying of the foundation of victory. Thus the little book of the seventh angel as the seventh Lord, or Chohan, becomes the instrument of the seven archangels. I am Zadkiel. I raise my hand. I draw the arc of the rainbow in the heavens. It is the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. It is the sign of the coming of the mighty angel, with a foot upon the sea and another upon the land, and the mighty rainbow upon his head. It is the sign of the descent of your own causal body and its accessibility through the violet flame. Remember, I have said, let the violet flame descend upon your own head and clear the passageway for the full integration of your own causal body with your heart chakra. This is the goal of the path of Kuthumi and Dwalku, the control of the aura by the co-measurement and the alignment of your causal body. You seek the momentum of the saints and of the ascended masters, not because you yourself have none, but because you have not established contact with your own inner attainment. Why? I will tell you why. Your own karma, momentums of karma, have sealed you from the great light of your own causal body. Therefore you pursue the Guru and ask for favors and dispensations of his attainment. I say, clear the way for the descent of your own causal body by the increased use of the violet flame. You may have considered the request of Saint Germain to give that violet flame 30 minutes again and again and again. Blessed hearts, it was all for your own alchemy. It was all for this moment when this dispensation would be available to you. It was all for the hour of the coming of the dawn of the golden age, so that your vessels might be expanded and cleansed to receive the light that is available. Now take these precious moments that remain in this retreat into the heart of the 7 archangels to accelerate the violet flame and clear the way for the coming of the Son of Man where you are. Truly the sign of the rainbow is the visible sign of your own mighty I Am presence descending. Therefore, praise the Lord. Praise the great Guru Sanat Kumara, for he has opened the way. He has opened the way. He has unsealed the tombs, and the gravestones are removed, and the soul of light can rise, even as the light of the causal body descends. He is opening the door to divinity, and all that God has held in store in your own causal body can descend by the rotation of that sphere of the permanent atom of your being. Look upon the chart now of your divine self that is behind the messenger. See that wheel of light. See it beginning to turn. See it beginning to whirl as a vortex of light. That spinning of your causal body is the sign when that light can come rolling down, coursing over the figure-8 spiral, symbolized in the thought form for this year, the mother and the man-child. Blessed hearts, that thought form is impressed upon you and will be sustained even with the coming of the thought form for the year 1981. Remember it well, for it is the woman clothed with the Son of your own mighty I Am presence, even the Divine Mother who holds the key for the descent of the light of your causal body, whereby the man-child is born where you are. This is the meaning of your star appearing, and I for one say, let the star appear. Let it appear where you are. Let it be.